Hi and welcome everyone. It's Lavender Sky Panther with you on Wednesday, October 9th, 2024 for a little card reading today. This one is dedicated to those in Florida whom are seeming in the path of an approaching hurricane. And as I've mentioned in other readings, I want to put all energy and good loving intent that that thing shears apart, dissipates, is far weaker than projected, and that no one experiences hopefully any harm to any real serious harm. That's the wish and intent anyway. And as I've said in a previous show, I have my thoughts are very clear on, what I know to be happening with weather warfare and weaponized weather. But beyond that, even if it isn't, even if you are one that is not like-minded there and just says, oh, no, it's just purely natural. Either way, this is for whoever might find themselves in the path of this thing or have adverse effects. Now, as I've said, if we put all our loving intention on whoever you're thinking about who might be affected, especially if you have loved ones, friends, family, friends of friends, acquaintances, if you can put the energy on it that they're loved, blessed, and protected no matter what is happening. I have seen this and experienced it to be true that even in the worst of these hurricanes and storms, sometimes miraculous things happen, and the loved ones that have that extra prayer boost or blessing boost over them come out with, seeming no damage, and things like that can happen. Do they always happen? No. And so the prayer or blessing can also be that everybody has exactly whatever they need at the moment to get through it. And if they are having adverse effects in the trail of this thing, may they at least have the wherewithal, reserve, strength, community around them, neighbors, even if you never saw them in your life on your street, may they come out and all of you help each other. That's my experience, of what tends to happen in the worst of times. Not the worst, but the best of humanity comes out. And yes, there'll be some exceptions of people up to no good who are trying to benefit off the situation, maybe try to loot or do things. But the majority of the people come together. And what are we seeing? This is also dedicated to all of those, as I've already dedicated other videos to, all of those in North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, that are still, trying to fathom what happened and deal with the aftermath of the previous hurricane. So anyway, this is for everyone there. This is also in more generically if you're not in any kind of threat area or area that has experienced the recent damage or upcoming potential threat. This is for anyone else who just can't sleep right now. There are a lot of us in general. You may be discovering you have really odd sleep patterns lately. A lot of things are changing and shifting on this planet, including in the atmosphere and far beyond it. We've got the geostorms and flares and things. So these are, turbulent times in the sense that there's a lot of moving pieces, some things that are hard to guess what's going on, and, things might not be so clear. So this is, again, just something for really all of us, but most notably those who are kind of in, maybe you have a bit of an anxiety or anticipating this kind of weird space and time that happens before a hurricane is approaching or a bad storm, is approaching the land. So anyway, strength up, prayers up, love up, big time for everybody if you find yourself in any one of these categories. And if you just happen upon this video and you have no idea why, if it popped up in your feed, welcome. Actually, welcome to everyone, whether you're new or coming back, stopping by, seeing any of my videos. This happens to be a card reading, but I also capture kind of nature, things in nature, out in nature, photos, footage there, and of anomalies in the skies. So if this is all new to you, this channel, feel free to go check out any of those other things. I have, I guess, over 600 something videos by now. All of my sky intensive show findings, my sky anomaly findings, happen in my earliest shows. So I'd say somewhere around the first 200 or so videos. Check those out if you want to see some pretty fascinating sky anomalies. And I also post them ongoing on the community page and sometimes in shorts, YouTube shorts. All right, enough about all of that. Again, welcome. Now I hope to just create a nice little mood. I'm going to try to breathe in. I invite you to do so too. If you find yourself asking, if I ask you when's the last time you had a really good, nice, deep breath, I know if I answered that faithfully or honestly, it would be a couple days ago when I did my last video and I asked people to breathe in and do this. But before that, who knows when? I don't do it enough. I don't remember to do it enough. So I invite you, if you haven't taken in a real nice deep breath, I'm going to do it right now. Breathe in through the nose. And I imagine, and I let the air fill up all the way down into the abdomen because that tends to get neglected. A lot of us shallow breathe, especially if we're anxious about stuff or worried on the daily. So if you can just imagine, you might even want to close your eyes when you inhale through the nose. Imagine every cell in your stomach all the way down your abdomen and actually throughout your whole body. Imagine all these little cells are your friends and they're cheering. They're like, yay, we're getting air and oxygen finally because we really are consciously with intention bringing oxygen to them. And we can also have the intention that everything is healthy in the body and all is well. So anyway, I'm going to breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Some people might offer a suggestion of different patterning. I know there's something called, I think, box breathing and something with the military and other people that do specialize in breath work. I think there's all kinds of techniques. For me, I don't put a number on it. I don't say do 1, 2, or 3 breaths. For me, it's just go as you feel. For me, one deep inhale through the nose and out through the mouth is all I really need. If I can really connect in and imagine all my little cells cheering, you can see them with little banners throwing up confetti or whatever. Just they're so happy they're finally getting a nice burst of oxygen down there. Anyway, and do whatever technique you want to do, obviously. That's just something I find that works pretty well. So I'm going to inhale and do it. You're welcome to do it along with me or at your own pace, your own patterning, or not at all. Okay, and that also helps kind of shift the energies because I want to really try to get to a nice, calm, loving place with this little reading. Now, this little reading, I'm not going to put any pressure on it, no parameters. I just pulled out some decks, mostly because I wanted something with a higher vibe to feel to it and also a simple, more simplistic vibe. When I go to pull a card from each deck, this time around they may or may not tie in together to have one cohesive, comprehensive message. They might be kind of just standalone messages. All right, so I will list the different decks used and cards used in the description area below. I've got my trusty sassafras wand to the right here of the frame, and sassafras root. I just use it as a pointer, and that's what I'm going to stick with. Literally, pun totally intended there. It may be after 3:30 in the morning, but I can still do cheesy jokes and puns if they want to come through. All right, so anyway, we've got, I brought out my trusty Orca agate as well, just to bring out the more positive aspect of the sea and not the turbulent storm, characteristic of it. But I think most people, when you see an orca, they've got kind of like a natural smile like dolphins do on their face. They got that beautiful pink, rosy pink tongue. And actually, despite what you hear about some of the tragedies of interactions gone wrong, let's just say, with orcas and some of these amusement parks where they're, held captive, out in the ocean and in the wild, it's my understanding that there are hardly any, if any, accounts of where an orca attacks a human. In fact, some come right up to somebody in the ocean and they just kind of study them, curiously. It's my belief that the orcas, can sense our electromagnetic, our heart space, our field going out, much like a dog can really sense if a human is, good or up to no good. And I have a sense that they know that a human is slightly different. It's just not a fish out in the ocean or prey. That we also have this kind of, we are a sentient being, and I believe they can feel into our field. And that's why there are those occurrences. Anyway, whatever. We'll get to more. I think more will be revealed on that whole thing. So that's the backdrop. I got one of those. I got that orca agate just to kind of represent the loving aspect of the ocean as we, have the storm coming up over it. Then we have 2 candles. I think the pinkish one is pomegranate and spruce, and the other white candle is, I'm just thinking for a minute what it is. It's late. It's blackberry and bay leaf. That's back. I have that out. I've had it in some other readings too. Okay, so let's just get into this. I'm not going to do anything too elaborate here. Since I do hold the camera with one hand, I don't put it on the tripod. What I'm going to do is take each deck and probably kind of do a fan method or cut it, randomly and pull a card, whatever I can do, space, providing. Okay. And then also if anything needs a clarifying card, I probably will use this deck over here. It's a nice deck for that. All right, so let's get into it. Let me see where I want to start. I think I will start with the ocean themed one. I just have one of those. And like I said, I'm going to kind of do this in an unusual way. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and flip all of the cards first and then talk about stuff. How about that? And then this one, I'm just going to kind of cut the deck because I don't have room to fan it out. Okay. Sorry, I'm kind of cheating and rereading these as I look. I just want to see where we're headed with all of this. These are interesting little cards. I don't really bring these out much, but they're kind of meditation inspiration cards. And I got them probably like 15 years ago. Okay. And then some of these I'll have to pull up to the camera and read them aloud because they are too small print to read from afar. This card keeps coming up a lot from this deck. This deck is called The Answer is Simple. And in the few times that I've used these in a reading, they seem to come up a lot. The same card comes up a lot. Just interesting to note. Okay, and then we have one more deck. I will just kind of, card got mixed in there from the previous reading. Oh, interesting. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is slowly go over each of the cards that I've turned over, and then I will see if I can make sense out of any of these things, if they want to be cohesively read as one overall reading, or if they want to be standalone. This says, love yourself first. Interesting imagery. It says, your self-respect makes you romantically, sorry, let me do that again. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. Okay, love yourself first. Then we have number 29. That's also a number 11 or 2. And it says, say I'm sorry. Okay. Then we have, you have mastered the art of lightening the atmosphere, and therefore you are accepted wherever you go. It's interesting that we have kind of the hurricane on the mind. We're talking about lightening up an atmosphere, right? All right, and then we have generosity. Oh, look at, we've got someone holding an anchor, throwing roses out to the sea with like a galleon ship in the background. And it's hope, or speranza, nada, Hoffnung, and other languages represented there for the same thing. Let's see if we can get any expression. Okay, she seems kind of at peace or indifferent, just kind of doing business as usual. Okay, and then we have a couple more. We have healing heart with some mermaid beings, a mer mom and mer child looks like. And it says, you're a powerful healer. Keep up the great work. And then we have toxic. All right, so I'm going to zoom out here and just kind of hold the camera. I'm not going to look for it through the viewfinder myself. I'm just going to kind of hold it here while I look over the field of these cards and just see where this all wants to go. Okay, well, I'm going to read this pretty much face value. I'm not going to do a real deep look at all this, but I'm just kind of going to hover over these cards and say what comes to mind, okay, what wants to come out intuitively on this. So I'm drawn to start with this card, say I'm sorry. And in the background, even though they're kind of on a veranda, it looks like that could be a little coastal situation with the sea, and that's, kind of the horizon where the sea meets the sky. And in this case, to me, it's almost like a message from the ocean itself. And it's kind of like she's the, let me grab my little wand over here, hold on. Maybe even she's just kind of like a personification of the ocean, like a representative, because she's even wearing all blue. And it's almost like this could be, yeah, the personification of the ocean itself, saying like sorry to humanity that, hey, I'm just a medium with which other things, conspire or work with what I have to offer, and, can turn in, what I can offer is really good things and peaceful and harmonious, but other factors outside of itself can happen to turn it kind of into a weapon. And then we can also get into where, again, if we take that, yes, the weather is being weaponized and controlled, then it's kind of like the ocean is almost saying like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm an unwilling accomplice in any kind of destruction that happens. It's not the ocean's fault when there's a formation of something like a hurricane, right? There are other things that maybe be mostly ocean generated, but even in something like a tsunami, if it truly is because of there's an earthquake or some seismic shift creating it, it's kind of like the ocean's just there being the ocean, kind of in a neutral state. And if you think about it, it's other types of elements that work on it to turn what could be just normally like a placid bathtub into something more rip-roaring and dangerous. So I just kind of get a feeling like it's just like a calm little voice from the ocean just saying, hey, I'm sorry, I'm unwittingly involved in some of these things that might happen, to affect the land and the people. Then along, in tandem with that, we have toxic, and that kind of goes with the green part of that card, and keeping that theme. It's kind of like, yeah, again, I kind of already touched on it, like, hey, sorry if I'm unwillingly just kind of, caught in the mix of creating a toxic situation. The way her hand is on her heart space and she feels sorry. It's just, really not my intent, guys. Others are coming involved and making this a toxic brew. So, okay, that's all I'm getting for that. Then I'm tempted to wander over here. And with this card, now we have maybe a personification of the ocean as she comes onto land. And now she's in a green gown and, no longer in the blue one. And maybe it's kind of like she's coming ashore, she's anchoring, showing that she's, again, maybe a representation of the sea. But now she's more of a representation also of just kind of Mother Nature herself, where she's maybe stepped out of the ocean onto the land, is now anchoring in with this golden anchor. Anchors are usually, like stainless steel, zinc, like silver colored. This one seems to be a little more warm tone, like golden, with this huge kind of fish hook style anchor. And she's tossing roses, so she's saying, look, I'm not going to do this role anymore of being kind of a conduit, like an unwitting victim here, being the ocean, being stirred up and caused by their forces to harm people on the land. And if I have, I'm kind of making amends for even if it were an inadvertent role. I'm stepping onto land now as Mother Nature, and I'm tossing roses in honor of anybody I might have affected. So again, I'm feeling like this is kind of like part of this. I'm sorry, but this is what I can do now. I can, take the spirit and the energy and the force away from the sea now and try to anchor things onto the land and represent that, I'm going to toss the flower, showing that things have grown again. Even if things got destroyed, now things are in a state of being restored to being whole. Okay. Then, and that's a part of this card, I would say, like generosity of the Mother Nature spirit being, to make sure she can, come out of the sea and now tend and take care of those on the land. And then maybe she's already taken care of this particular ship. It's still sailing. It's got rain clouds though, but it's not capsizing. So maybe, that situation is calling for her to come back into the sea though, to create a balance and protect, whatever's going on nautically over there. All right, so that just kind of speaks of maybe the generosity of this personification of Mother Earth or the sea energies, and kind of, being generous where she can to help out who she can, whether she's got 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land, right? Wherever she gazes and brings her attention, she's helping out in a nurturing way as best she can. Then we have, you have mastered the art of lightening the atmosphere, and therefore you are accepted wherever you go. And maybe that's just kind of like a little message, underlying message for this personification that we're talking about, that, this is kind of a master force that does have effects on all the earth, and mainly, the land and the oceans. A little bit of the sky, maybe. Okay. Therefore, her tidings or blessings, are accepted wherever she goes, to wrap it up with that card. Then we have Healing Heart, drawn to come over here. And again, the message on that is, you're a powerful healer. Keep up the great work. And in this case, we've got the two beings in the ocean. And again, it's just kind of, when there's loving intent, the ocean and the world is a beautiful place. Each of us possess this power to make things right if there's an imbalance in the world. And all we have to do is connect into that heart space and have an intention to make it better, make the world a better place, and make it better for everybody in it, all life forms within it. Now, if we want to keep going with our little theme of personification, maybe of the sea or of Mother Earth type thing, this could even be, again, the Mother Earth energy and just taking care of her children on this earth, as best she can. And to be able to have the healing energy, regenerative energy when needed, if there has been destruction due to any storms. Excuse me one second. Excuse me. Okay. And then I'm getting a little bit allergic to one of the candles, I think. The scent is getting strong. All right, then we have love yourself first. And what's interesting, what is this? Okay, your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive. And that is true. There's something about the power and energy of standing in, who you are and owning who you are, not getting too lost in somebody else, and, bringing your own identity into question, or, commingling it so much that you don't know who you really are. What's interesting is that he's wearing blue and green, and we had a very prominent, figure in blue who got my attention, and a figure in green who got my attention. And now here we have both, the mix of the two, on this guy's cloak, and tights and whatever he's wearing. And so it kind of is, to me, wrapping this up, and it's no, I guess, mistake that that's kind of the last card that I pulled. No mistake that he's embodying now both of the colors. And so if he can, seize the best of energies from, these two strong characters, and again, don't worry about if it's male or female, male energy, female energy. If he can take kind of the power and strength of knowing that there's a strong force, but also a gentle force associated with this energies, and he can combine the best of both more masculine side and feminine energies into one complete human being, that will make him more powerful and attractive, by others. So anyway, and then they're talking about romantically attractive, and it's almost like this figure over here, she's tossing the roses, and she's got two up to, this couple. Well, actually, this couple maybe, and this couple. Okay, so I think, this is a great card to end on, because it is talking about loving energies. And when we love ourselves, we're able to give more to others. And in the times of like an approaching storm, which this kind of theme has become, it's important to make sure, like they say, that your own cup is full, that you feel complete in and among yourself, and taken care of, and taking care of yourself, that you then are in a strength of empowerment, your self-empowerment, to go out and help others even more. So if you're coming from a weak state, obviously you don't have much to give. Or if you're running on fumes, you're not going to be able to help others much. So maybe this is another reminder that, especially for all of those that are already dealing with the aftermath of the Hurricane Helene, you might be on reserves. You've been going a long time since that thing hit, and going through such a intense level of destruction that, hopefully you've figured out by now, in a completely surreal situation, how to pace yourself, when to rest and when to be working. I'm sure you want to save and help and distribute things to people, but make sure you don't totally tap yourself out to the point where you're of no good to yourself or to others, right? And making sure you and your family are set, and then you're able to give out to the whole community. Okay, now that took a little bit of a somber tone, although also empowerment, because there's big meaningful messages in there, as far as if it's coming from nature itself, saying, hey, my natural state is to be loving and calm, but there are other factors involved and perhaps out of her or its control. Let me do this. I think people seem to I wasn't going to pull from this deck, but people seem to be interested in the 50 plants that heal, discover medicinal plants. So just to end up on a more land energy and healing energy of the land versus the ocean energies, let me just fan these out. And this is a really pretty deck. And I'm just going to look away, and I'm just going to randomly pick one. And I can't believe this because we already had this. Let me pick another one because I just had that in the last reading. I can't believe it because I'm literally looking away and just kind of fumbling around and picking a card. Okay, you know what? I'll go ahead and pick a third then. I'm just reaching wherever. Okay, that's more like it, a different one. Now, I did read about the fig in a previous reading, so I'm not going to read it again. But I invite you to look at the health properties of it, or just look at I think it was literally the previous show or one or two back, okay? I will pan over the card, though, for anyone who hasn't seen it. These cards are nice because they show the various stages of growth of different plants and seeds and things. And then on the back of the card, it talks about potential healing properties, medicinal properties, and such. Okay, so now we'll get to jasmine. And I don't know many of these cards, so I'm learning along with you here. Let's see. I'm not going to read about its stats, like how big it gets and all of that. Let's see if there's anything interesting, though. Yeah, okay, I'll read the very bottom. The fruit is a round blackberry. Originally from the foothills of the Himalayas, jasmine was introduced to Spain in the 16th century before spreading throughout the entire Mediterranean basin. Let's see, it says, and again, this is just what this particular author is saying these things can do. I invite you to go look on your own and see what the healing properties of any of these plants and flowers and barks and roots and all kinds of things are so useful. Pretty much of any plant or tree you look up. There are very few exceptions. Some can be toxic. You got to really make sure you know what you're doing when you identify some of these things, and make sure, like, sometimes a seed or something or fruit itself can be fine, but like the seeds can be toxic. You just got to know. I think that's what the soursop can have wonderful healing properties, but I think you got to watch it. You can't have the seeds; those are toxic. So just kind of look around and make sure you know what your plant you're finding if you're trying to go find these things yourself, and just make sure you have a trusted guide to help you make darn sure you're dealing with the right plant or leaves or whatever. Also, some of these, a lot of them will say you can drink them as a tea or prepare something for internal use, and also topically. So topically, you might want to try a little of it first to make sure you don't have any allergic reactions. Same thing with maybe some of the tea. But all in all, most of these plants, are just only beneficial, I've found anyway. All right, so let's just see some of the things they say, and again, do your own research to corroborate or, research further on some of these things. Now, they're claiming that jasmine flowers can be used for calming nervous tension, induce sleep, and soothe spasmodic coughs. Let's see, also might help for treating pains of nervous paralysis. And apparently, yeah, of course, it's been used in cosmetics and perfumes. Okay, I'm not going to keep going. Well, other than it can be used as an essential oil. I know it's even used in things like candles, soy candles and things. So anyway, a beautiful scent, of course, on top of all. Now, here's what the flower clusters look like. Let's see, this one looks like it has 5 petals, looks kind of like a star. And then, of course, there's night blooming jasmine, and I don't know how many varieties there are, but that might be another thing that might interest you. You might want to, especially if you can't sleep, maybe look up all the different varieties of the jasmine. Okay, I know one is night blooming jasmine, and it also has a different name with queen in it. Maybe like something like midnight queen. I can't remember. You might want to look that up. All right, silver birch. Let's see what this is. What we want to read anyway. You know, this is the tree with white bark. Let's see. I'll read the last sentence on the top. It says, its long, pendulous branches bear simple, diamond-shaped leaves. Its flowers take the form of catkins. And actually, I'm not sure what that is. I'd have to look that up. All right, some of the benefits, according to this, is it can be used as a powerful diuretic. The leaves can treat inflammation and infection of the urinary tract, kidney stones, and rheumatism. Those seem very helpful. It says the buds have the same properties. The bark, likewise, a diuretic, stimulates digestion and brings down fevers. It's excellent for skin problems. So anyway, this is very useful, it seems, in many applications. And I'll leave the rest. You can make a decoction of the bark, simmer it, and use it as a wash or compress for dry skin. So again, this might open up a whole world for you to check into and maybe get inspired by this. All right, so here's what the birch, some of its plant parts are. Okay, there you have it, or silver birch. Let's see, yes, silver birch. Okay, well, I think that's it. You know what? No, I lied. That's not it. Wait, there's more. I think what I'll do now, outside of the context of what I was doing with Mother Nature and the sea and the land and all that, I'm just going to throw these about, and let's just do 2 more messages, but more in a generic context. You can see which card you would like to pull. I'm just going to go with my intuition, take this one. I want to make sure it's right side up. And I'll go ahead and take this one. Okay, so let's see what we can just leave off on more generically, if it makes sense. And this is introspection. And this says, you are special, and so do not let mundane concerns make you superficial. All right, so we'll focus on the you are special in the best of ways part. And I will leave you if you want to do any introspection, that can also be kind of considered maybe like the hermit mode, to go within, kind of detach a bit. So maybe for right now, you don't have to do anything too deep or serious with that and go in a cave for like 30 years or anything. It can just be as brief as maybe it's a good time just to light your own candle. Light a little candle, look at it for a bit, maybe say a little prayer to yourself, holding your heart and making that prayer out to the bigger world. And right now that's what I'm going to do. So pick a candle or both candles if you want to. I'm going to focus on actually the little rose colored jar. And I'm just going to sign off here with tremendous peace and love to everyone, especially those who are hurting, confused, feeling a bit lost at sea, so to speak, trying to navigate some extraordinary times that we're in right now. And most of all, may all of those that might be affected in the upcoming storm be loved, blessed, and protected, with no harm coming to them or to anyone they love. And that goes for all of life, whether it's human life forms or plants, animals, the environment. May everything be harmonious. All right, I think that's it for now. Once again, tremendous peace and love to you and to all. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.